Dear you, I'm writing to you from a version of yourself who remembers the strange weight of carrying a heavy heart without knowing why. It wasn't triggered by a specific event. It wasn't tied to a clear problem. It wasn't something you could explain even if someone asked. It was simply there, an ache that lived quietly beneath your ribs, pressing against you in moments of stillness, lingering in the spaces between your thoughts. I remember how unsettling it felt to wake up with heaviness already in your chest, like a cloud that refused to lift. You tried to shake it off by staying busy, by distracting your mind, by telling yourself, "I'm fine." But the heaviness stayed. It followed you into conversations, into daily routines, into moments when nothing appeared wrong on the outside. And because you couldn't name the source, you convinced yourself it wasn't worthy of attention. You didn't talk about it because you weren't sure what you would even say. How do you describe a sorrow without origin? A tightness without cause? A quiet fatigue that lives inside your emotions rather than your body. You feared being misunderstood or worse, dismissed. So instead, you held the heaviness silently, hoping it would fade on its own. But it didn't. Some days it felt lighter, almost gone, but then it returned without warning. You wondered if something was wrong with you. You wondered if you were missing some truth about yourself. You wondered if your heart was trying to tell you something that your mind hadn't caught up to yet. There were evenings when you felt tears you couldn't explain. Not because something happened, but because something inside needed release. You wiped them away quickly, unsure of whether you were allowed to feel pain without justification. You didn't want to seem dramatic. You didn't want to worry anyone. And a part of you believed you didn't have the right to feel heavy without a clear reason. But heaviness doesn't need permission. It doesn't need explanation. It doesn't need a story. Your emotions were responding to things your mind hadn't processed yet. Old hurts, quiet disappointments, unspoken fears, internal transitions. And even though you didn't understand it at the time, your heart was speaking in the only language it could. Wait. I saw you trying to carry it alone. I saw the way you put on a brave face. I saw the softness inside you fighting to stay steady. And none of it made you weak. It made you someone who felt deeply, even when you didn't fully understand why. Your past self understands now that the heaviness you carried was not random. It was accumulated emotion layers, of feelings you didn't have time, space, or safety to process. Every small disappointment you brushed aside, every hurt you minimized, every fear you ignored, every moment you were strong when you actually needed gentleness. They all settled inside you quietly. You often told yourself, "It's not a big deal," but your heart remembered. You told yourself, "I don't have time for this," but your emotions kept waiting. You told yourself, "I should be fine," but healing doesn't respond to shoulds. Your heaviness wasn't weakness, it was backlog. You'd been moving through life so quickly, handling responsibilities, supporting others, showing up when you were needed, that you never paused long enough to feel your own emotions fully. And unprocessed feelings don't disappear. They settle. They accumulate. They press gently at first, then more noticeably, until one day you wake up with a heavy heart and no clear reason why. Your past self also sees how much pressure you placed on yourself. You believed you had to justify every emotion, explain every sadness, rationalize every fear. But emotions don't follow logic. They don't ask for permission. They don't need an explanation to exist. Sometimes the heart simply speaks, and the message isn't meant to be clear right away. The heaviness you felt was also a sign of transition. You were outgrowing old identities, realizing truths you had avoided, sensing change before it reached your conscious mind. Your heart understood your evolution before you did. And growth, even good growth, can feel heavy. You weren't broken. You were processing. You weren't lost. You were shifting. You were shifting. You weren't failing. You were feeling deeply in ways you weren't used to giving space for. Your past self wants you to know that the heaviness was a message, not a punishment. It was your inner world asking for attention, reflection, rest. It was your emotional self saying, "Please slow down." There are things we need to feel before we move forward. And once you understand that, the weight becomes less frightening. It becomes something you can hold with compassion instead of resistance. Now, I'm speaking to the you reading this, the you who still feels a quiet heaviness some days. The you who still doesn't always have a reason for your emotions. The you who sometimes worries that the weight will return unexpectedly. I want you to take a gentle breath and let this truth soften your heart. You don't need a reason to feel what you feel. Your emotions are valid simply because they exist. You are allowed to have heavy days, soft days, confusing days. You are allowed to feel without needing to explain. You are allowed to rest without needing to earn it. Your heart has carried more than you realize. It has endured seasons of silence, moments of pressure, years of self-dismissal. The heaviness you sometimes feel now is not a flaw. It is your heart reminding you that you deserve care too. You deserve gentleness. You deserve slowness. You deserve slowness. You deserve space to breathe. You deserve to feel without fear. Your heaviness will not last forever. It will lighten as you learn to acknowledge your emotions instead of hiding them. It will soften as you practice giving yourself the comfort you once waited for others to offer. It will fade as you grow into a version of yourself who knows how to listen inwardly. Healing doesn't always look bright at first. Sometimes it looks like weight. But that weight teaches you patience, awareness, depth. It teaches you how to carry yourself with tenderness. It teaches you how to stay close to your heart instead of running from it. Take another slow breath now. Let it ease the tightness inside your chest. Let it bring warmth to the places that have felt heavy. Let it remind you. You are not broken. You are not in danger. You are not failing. You are feeling. And feeling is part of being alive, growing, and becoming who you're meant to be. Your heart will feel light again. Not because the world changes overnight, but because you are learning to hold your feelings gently, instead of burying them in silence. You don't need answers to deserve care. You don't need clarity to deserve peace. You don't need reasons to deserve compassion. You deserve softness simply because you are human. Sincerely, you.